Imagine sitting across from someone, not scrolling past a profile, not exchanging surface chatter, but truly seeing them. David Brooks opens with a New York diner where a stranger's life story unexpectedly unfolds over a simple cup of coffee. The moment crackles with possibility. What if every conversation could feel this deep? What's the secret ingredient in that rare, illuminating connection? Stick around, this book cracks the code on knowing someone real, not just knowing about them. Brooks zeroes in on this. Knowing someone starts with how you pay attention. It's not about hearing words, it's about tuning into the whole person, but we're wired for distractions. How do we break through? In a small New York diner, David Brooks shares a moment with a stranger named Lois. She begins recounting her lost childhood dreams, her late husband, her regrets. It's not just talk, it's a soul unspooling. Brooks doesn't interrupt, judge, or rush, he listens. Suddenly, this casual cafe scene feels like an intimate theater of a whole human life revealed. Think about attention as a spotlight on a stage. When you flood a scene with light, details come alive, not just the actors' faces, but the subtle background music, the faintest gestures. Brooks says our brains crave this kind of focused illumination to truly know someone. Distractions dim the richness. The act of giving full attention is an intentional, creative act, not passive reception. Here's the surprise: when someone feels deeply seen, something shifts. Psychologists call it felt recognition. Lois's story didn't just unload, it ignited something vital. She felt released from loneliness. Brooks argues this isn't rare magic, it's the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Connecting deeply lifts us out of isolation and lets us glimpse the larger story we're part of. Brooks suggests knowing someone isn't about rapid-fire facts, it's the quality of questions you ask that cracks open the real story. But what questions actually work, and which only scratch the surface? Brooks remembers a workshop where a simple change in questions transformed a cold office dynamic. Instead of asking, "What do you do?" participants asked, "What moment in your life changed everything?" One woman shared losing her father, another her unexpected passion for painting. Suddenly, colleagues weren't just coworkers, they were whole people, connected by shared struggles and hopes. Think of questions as keys instead of weapons. The wrong key jams the lock, the right one turns smoothly and opens a door. Brooks draws from philosophy and theater to show how the right question gently invites someone in. It's about curiosity without judgment, an invitation to co-create trust and openness. This delicate dance requires practice, not just any question will do. The payoff is vulnerability, a currency too often avoided. When you risk asking what truly matters, you create permission for others to be honest and seen. This vulnerability can flip a relationship from transactional to transformative. Brooks notes that while it feels risky, it's the bridge to intimacy and belonging we all crave. Brooks argues knowing someone is also a creative act. It's about seeing their life as a whole narrative, rich with meaning, not just snapshots. But how do you see larger stories without missing the details? He shares the story of Megan, a high school teacher in Ohio, whose students initially saw her as tough and distant. But as she listened to their stories, she told her story too: struggles with failure and recovery. Gradually, the classroom shifted. Megan's students began to see her as more than a teacher, a flawed, growing person. Stories connect the dots of identity beneath surface actions. Brooks observes that when you look deeply at another person's life story, you're also glimpsing your own reflections. Like two mirrors angled, each story bounces glimpses back and forth, revealing unseen contours of yourself. He calls this seeing something larger in yourself as well. Knowing another person is a kind of self-knowledge, expanding empathy and humility. The creative act here is mutual. It's not just I see you, but we co-create meaning. When attention, questions, and storytelling collide, relationships become fertile ground for growth. This shifts connection from demand or neediness into joyful discovery. Brooks offers this as a fragile, hopeful antidote to our fractured, distracted times. Remember that diner in New York? That simple moment where David Brooks saw Lois, not just her words, but her whole story. That scene isn't rare, it's a skill you can practice daily. Try this: next time you talk with someone, pause, turn down your mental noise, and cast a real, steady spotlight on them. Notice what surfaces. Because when you truly see another person, you're lighting up your own humanity too. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.